did so far related to the conditional statements, looping structures, list, dictionary, set, and everything is clear so far. And
Yeah.
yeah, in last session, we had just a quick revision of all the concepts. So in today's session, we are going to head towards, I won't say it's difficult, but it's slightly complicated or slightly complex mechanism in programming that is nothing but object-oriented programming. So let
Okay.
us just start with this. So whatever we were doing so far, we were creating very small variables. We were writing some mathematical expressions on that. We were getting the results. Onto those results, we used to implement some if condition or suppose say some for loop. And we used to check whether in which certain loop we can trap the given condition. We even have used break and continue in order to break the loop structure or in order to deviate a loop structure a bit. So now going to the next level, suppose if you want, just a second, huh? Yeah, suppose you want something to be created in such a way that you want to create a very minute structures, and then you want to combine them all together in order to form some big picture in front of you. So in every programming language which is available nowadays, supports something called as the object oriented program. So object-oriented programming, what is that object-oriented programming? How is it different from the procedural way of the programming that we were seeing so far? So let us just have a quick look onto that. First of all, when someone says that it's an object-oriented programming language, it supports a kind of architecture which is called as bottom-up architecture.
Prachi,
Yes.
I'm not sure if you have started screen sharing, but I'm not
Okay,
able
okay,
to.
okay. My mistake. I haven't started.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we,
Okay.
yes. So whatever we were saying so far, that's called as, when we create the functions and everything, we cannot exactly call it as a bottom-up architecture. But whenever we create the class and object, that time the architecture of a program becomes bottom-up architecture. What do we mean by bottom-up architecture? It's like if you are solving any complicated program or if you are solving any complicated task, that time we try to divide that task into smallest possible entities. So for example, if you want to solve a problem related to some banking domain, suppose say I just want to create a kind of application which replicates the banking domain. So I just have to think about a small thing first. So the first thing I'll notice that, okay, I need to have something so that I can create the user. Then I'll think, okay, I need to have something using which I can, make sure that there is some sufficient balance in the user's account. Then I need to create some kind of method which will help me to deposit new amount into the existing amount of that customer. I need to have something using which I can withdraw some given amount from the existing amount of that user. I need to have some functionality using which user will simply come to know what is the existing amount after adding or after withdrawing some certain amount from the account. I need to make sure that the user's password or user's login account should be very properly maintained, and we should have some kind of checking mechanism so that whenever users enters into the system, suppose it's a kind of electronic system or mobile application that we are developing, then we have to make sure that we are going to assign some proper username and some proper identification password. If the identification password and username matches, then and then only user can enter into the system. So these are just few of the functions that I have just mentioned to you. Now, likewise, if you create some small functions, and if we can simply combine this together, we can lead up to the big picture. That is nothing but we can build entire banking application or banking, replication, banking system replication using some software or using some app. So this is basically what we mean by bottom-up approach. That means start thinking about the small entities, then try to combine all the small entities in order to get the big picture. That's basically what we mean by bottom-up architecture. And object-oriented programming supports that bottom-up architecture. That means you can create a kind of class which consists of the functions which are just logically related to each other. Then you can create multiple such classes. You can have some kind of hierarchy in those classes and so on. So we are going to discuss all these things in detail when we'll discuss the properties of the class or properties of the object-oriented programming and so on. So for now, what I need to understand that someone whenever utters the word object-oriented programming, it is totally trying to tell you that we are working in a bottom-up kind of architecture where we are going to create some small entities, we'll bind them together to form a big picture in front of us. That's why it's called as a bottom-up kind of. Now, the next thing, whenever someone says that it's an object-oriented programming language, these are the two words that are uttered along with the object-oriented program. That is classes and object or class and object. So it's very important thing for anyone to first understand what do we mean by class, what do we mean by object, what is the similarity, what is the difference, or which should be created first, which should be created later, and so on. So we can assume it something like this. There is some generalized concept, and that generalized concept is human. Okay, so when someone says that human is a very generalized concept, so human being comes up with some of the properties and comes up with some of the functions associated with them. Now, what are the properties or what are the attributes related to the human? So all human beings are provided with a head, or you can say the legs, eyes, ears, nose, and so on. So all these things will become attributes of the human. Why they are called as attribute? Because attribute refers to something which explains your entity. So hair color of a person, eye color of a person, height of a person, weight of the person explains something about that person. And that's why we can call all these things as an attribute of a person. So if we assume that eye or eye color or hair color or a number of legs, head, and all these things as attributes of the human, all these attributes are created because human beings have some kind of functions to do. So we are provided with the attributes so that using these attributes, we can perform some kind of functions. Now, what are the functions that are possible for human being? So we are provided with the brain, we can think. We are provided with the eyes, we can see. We are provided with the legs, we can walk. We are provided with the hands, we can drive. That means these are the functions associated with all these different attributes which are given to the human. We need some kind of system in which we can combine these attributes and functions together. And we can enclose those attributes and function together. That means what I want to say, if it's a kind of human, then obviously what are its attributes? Its attributes are eyes, legs, and so on. And the functions are to walk, to run, to watch, to think, and so on. So I just want to combine these together so that it will look one entire logical box for me. So you can assume a class as a kind of box which consists of two compartments. The first compartment of that box defines that what are the attributes or what are the properties of that certain box. And the second part defines that what are the functions that we can develop using the attributes which are given to us. The next example could be if we consider car as a class. So if I'm considering car, then it's a kind of generalized entity which exists in the world. Whatever thing that exists in the live world can be demonstrated using the concept of classes and objects. And that's why if you read any textbook or any internet reference, you'll always find that one line is mentioned at the end that object-oriented programming replicates real world. That means whatever thing that we can see in the real world can be replicated or can be regenerated using the concept of class and object. It's not always possible to generate the same things using simply functional approach or using simply procedural approach. Okay, so coming back to this example, if we are considering car, then car is a generalized concept. So what will be the attributes of the car? So color of the car, sitting capacity, then cubic capacity, engine type, and suppose it's a kind of automatic car, or you have to have those gear control and so on. So all these things are nothing but the attributes of that car. And what will be the function? So the function is the car can raise the speed, the car can take a break, and so on. All these things are nothing but the functions associated with those attributes. We can combine these attributes and function together to form one logical entity or to form one logical kind of thing that we are calling it as a class car. Okay, so class car is also having some attributes. It's also having some of the methods. So suppose say color or sitting capacity or cubic capacity. These are nothing but the attributes, and functions will be, to start a car, or we can say to stop a car. These are nothing but the functions, or to raise, to accelerate, to give a brakes. All these are nothing but the functions of the car. So likewise, we can assume any generalized entity in this world, and we can find out that what are its attributes and what are its function together. So what the class does, so we say that classes is a concept that can encapsulate this attributes with method. So generally, whenever you see object-oriented programming notes or object-oriented programming anything, you'll find out that this word is always highlighted, which stands for encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation is nothing but making together the things which are related to each other, encapsulating it, bunching it together. That's basically what we mean by to encapsulate. So classes helps you to encapsulate these attributes along with its methods. So I just hope the three concepts are slightly clear. What is class, what is attribute, and what is method. Now comes the next thing, that what is this object so far? So we have discussed about generalized entity. We have discussed about some examples, human and car. Now, when I say that I am a human, so I get some name, or there are some attributes which are exclusively associated to me. These are the attributes of the human, but my eye color is black, or my height is 5.4, or my name is Prachi, my age is 30. So these are the values exclusively associated with me. That means I represent that class. I am object of that class. Suppose I have some car, say Swift, then the color of that car, the cubic capacity, the engine type, the gear type, all these attributes are obviously associated with my Swift. But when I have the number associated with that car, it becomes my exclusive property, which is the real entity exists in the world. When you say it's a class, that time it becomes a generalized entity. But when you say it's an object of that class, that means you are instantiating that entity. That time you create that entity, or that time that entity actually comes into the picture. So you can create n number of instances of a simple class. For example, if I'm creating a class student, then that student class can have the attributes such as name of the student, age of the student. Then we can say a student can have some location. We can say the address, then marks. All these are nothing but the attributes associated with the students. What are the functions of the student? To appear for the test, to get some good marks, and to appear for the regular classes, to appear for some extracurricular activities, to appear for the sports activities, to appear for the co-curricular activities. These will become the methods of the student, and we can have some kind of method to calculate the final score of a student at the end of certain academic year. So this is nothing but the class student, its attribute, and its methods. But when I want to talk about a certain student, say certain student XYZ, then in that case, that XYZ student possess all the properties of the student class. But I cannot say that student class is a real life entity. Real life entity is nothing but that object. That is nothing but XYZ student. वो real है. That's the real thing that exists. This is just the generalized architecture of that real thing. That means when I say I really exist in the world, human is just a generalized concept, and I represent human because I inherit all the properties, all the methods of the human. That's basically what is the difference in between classes and object. We can have literally infinite numbers of objects created out of a single class. You can create as many number of objects as you want. So what you just need to know is you need to know what's a skeleton. skeleton in a sense. You need to know what are the attributes and what are the functions or methods that you want to implement, and based on that you can create n number of real entity, or you can instantiate that class n number of times in the future. That's basically what is the difference in between classes and object in object oriented programming language. And encapsulating attributes with method, or combining attributes with method, is nothing but what we mean by encapsulation in object oriented programming language. So I just hope this is clear. So why it is important? So first thing is, it gives you simplicity of programming. Why simplicity of programming? Because you can divide your code into some classes. For example, if I want to create a very big application for some hospital. Now, when I want to create a very big application for the hospital is not having a single task associated with it. Hospital is having a lot of tasks. For example, there is a reception area wherein we simply try to take the information of the patients. Then there is some inquiry area wherein we simply try to check the appointments, or we simply check that which is the doctor available in the current OPD, what are the different types of sections available in that hospital, and so on. In there can be something called as the appointment section. That's a third section where we can simply book an appointment with a certain doctor. There will be something called as medical section, wherein they just keep a track of how many medicines are available. Is a certain medicine is having a lower stock, then to purchase those required medicine. There can be some payroll kind of system, or payroll kind of class, which simply takes care about which are the employees in that hospital, how many days they are filling in a certain month. Based on that, what is their per day salary? Based on that, we can calculate their final amount. We can have some patient class, which defines the patient who needs some hospitalization, then how many days that patient was admitted, what are the different types of treatment we gave to that patient, what is the total bill generated for that patient. We can have lot of other things. For example, pathological labs, which are generally embedded in hospitals nowadays. So that pathology lab may, if the patient is moving to the path lab, then what are the tests that were conducted in the pathology lab? What is the total bill generated by that pathology lab? Then that you need to embed with the current bed charges and so on. So basically, if you just think about this application of hospital, it's a very, very and very huge application. And if you simply start thinking ki, okay, I'll simply create the multiple functions, and I'll create a program through all those functions, then it is going to be very difficult, because in that case you have to create almost 200 to 300 functions, and to keep track of all these functions is very difficult. And most of the times we'll see or we'll simply lost that how these functions are related to each other, in exactly which function I have to pass the other values or the other functions value, and so on. And it will become a very chaotic kind of application. And so whenever we solve such type of problems, very complicated real-time problems, that time it is suggested that always go for object-oriented programming. So if the same problem is solved using object-oriented programming, how it will be solved? So we can have something called as the inquiry. So inquiry will become a simple class for us. In this inquiry class, we are simply going to ask the information about the user, or what are the things that user or patients wants to ask, or whatever the questions that will be noted inside the inquiry. We can have a separate class for billing. We can have the separate class for the payroll. We can have the separate class for the patient. We can have the separate class for maintaining the doctors. We can have separate class
अब
for
कल के लिए
maintaining
है
the
ना, कल
medicines
के लिए
and
है
so
ना,
on.
जूस के लिए.
I think your microphone is not on mute, dear Ankur.
Hello.
I think your microphone is on.
Yeah, actually, I have a question also.
Yes, ask me.
Okay. To what I understand, this classes and objects, are basically used to create an application sort of thing, right?
Correct.
So, like in the role of data. I know this question is quite little bit, not related to the subject, but
Hmm.
just want to understand
Hmm.
in the role of data science or data analyst sort of thing,
Hmm.
how these classes and objects
They are
can
not
correlate.
used,
They are
not
not
used at all.
used.
The reason is data analysis or data science or entirely this analytics world, this stands into some different domain which is called as a data driven program. So to be very frank, nowadays object oriented programming is taken over by the data type of applications, or you can say the data driven programming. And in data driven programming there is no need of creating the classes or something like that, because we are generally having a data which is provided by some external source. And frankly, in the data analysis domain or in entire analytics ka domain, what we perform is a mining on that data. We simply try to extract something informational, we try to extract something a pattern kind of things from the data. So obviously in that domain or in that case, we generally don't use, in fact 99% we don't need this object oriented programming.
Okay.
This type of programming is used by the developers.
Okay,
So
developers. Okay.
yeah, someone suppose want to develop some kind of architecture. So basically एक concept कैसे होता है, तो जो हमारे सबसे पहले we start designing the databases. So for
हाँ
example, अगर Amazon के जैसे कोई एक e-commerce website भी generate करना है,
हाँ हाँ
then you need to have something different databases, like customer ka ek database, then mere products ka ek database, then I'll have
हाँ
the order database, and I'll have some different databases. So
हाँ हाँ
next time whenever someone enters in the site for the first time, I ask that person to log in, to wo log in karta hai, to information login database mein jata hai. Wahan se next time information aap
हम्म,
login se fetch karte ho, and then you go to your products, you search for the products, then it goes to the order, because finally when you select the product you place the order. So order table में या फिर order database में आपका values finally fetched होते हैं, and finally you get which is the customer ID, then your demographics are displayed, then your products that you have purchased, and finally your order. ऐसे उसका एक final total आपको bill generate करके या फिर एक summary मिलता है. So
हाँ
basically in order to create this entire thing, हमने छोटे छोटे classes वहां पे generate किए थे. तो जैसे डेटाबेस में बैकएंड में हम मल्टीपल क्लास जनरेट करके वी कनेक्ट दोस क्लासेस और वी कनेक्ट दोस डेटाबेसेस,
हाँ
likewise in
हाँ
front end we create multiple classes and we connect those classes to each other. तो
okay
जब भी आप कोई एप्लीकेशन डेवलप करते हो, that time only this comes into the picture. But if you are more interested for the data domain or data science domain, then object oriented के concepts वहां पे नहीं आते, because it is entirely a different area. In
correct
fact, over there is no need for the customization in terms of the code. We
hmm,
are simply having something called as the library, and there is
correct
some set of 5 or 6 libraries, and there are hell lot of functions which are available in those libraries. Just we have to use those functions and we have to pass our data to that function and it generates the result. But for using those kind of applications, it is very necessary that you should have a very huge data setup available to you, because at the end
okay
of the day, for analysis, for machine learning, for artificial intelligence, for deep learning,
hmm,
computer vision, whatever these technologies that are emerging, they need the data. अगर data नहीं है वहां पे तो आपका application fail हो जाएगा. So that's how it goes. It's a very interesting kind of thing to study about the data analytics, but unfortunately we don't use object oriented programming mostly for
into
the
it.
data analytics. But yes, if you are creating some application
Yeah,
for data analytics, then if you are developing something entirely from scratch,
right.
then it might be useful for you, because कैसे होता है, there are other languages as well. I mean, people do say that Excel maybe you can perform data analysis, you can perform data
Correct.
analysis in SAS, you can perform this data analysis using R software and the other things as well. But
Correct.
what these things cannot give you is you can't build a very good application. Python में you can build the application, and उस application को आप data pass करके एक proper analytics का किसी को वेबसाइट जनरेट करना है, फिर आपको एक प्रॉपर एक ऐप जनरेट करना है, देन इट इज पॉसिबल. बाकी
Correct.
प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज से अगेन यू हैव टू क्रॉस प्लेटफॉर्म इट टू सम अदर लैंग्वेज या फिर टू सम अदर प्लेटफॉर्म जहां से you can display those informations and so that is probably basic difference in between why Python and why not the other languages. ठीक है. So I just hope you understood the basic meaning of what is class, what is object, what is the bottom up approach, and what is instance. Is this clear?
Yeah, this is clear.
Yeah. Then whenever we create this object oriented programming or this kind of structure, there is one major one more intention, is it provides something called as data abstraction. Now basically what do we mean by data abstraction is data hiding. So whenever we create a class, it provides us a facility to create something called as private variables, private methods. So what are these private variables and private methods? These are that type of data or those methods which cannot be accessed outside that class. So if you want something to be hidden or if you want something to be abstracted from a certain users in that application, then also you can go for object oriented programming because it has a capability to hide your information as well. You can make your application in such a way that if user is admin, then and then only show payroll table of all employees ka salary to that user. If user is not admin, then you are not or your program cannot access the data of payroll. So such kind of logics also you can write, because in most of the organizations or in most of the areas, most of the domain, there is some data which is very sensitive and you don't want world to get revealed about that data. You want only specific people to have hold on that data. So in that case, you can use this something called as data abstraction, which provides you to hide your data, which provides you to create something called as a private data. So whatever we have done so far, we used to create public methods or we used to create public variables. So basically, whenever it comes to object-oriented programming, there are three types of access we can give to certain variable or to a method, which are private, public, and something called as protected. Public is the one which is open, which is available for all. So for example, if there is some section which you want to be accessed by everyone, then you can call it as the public section or a public class or public attributes. If you want something to be very specific to a given class, then you can use something called as a private access modifier. Now the third thing is what is protected. It's a kind of, you can say, a hybrid mechanism which is slightly public as well as slightly private. What I mean by this, there is a very interesting concept in object oriented programming which is called as inheritance. It's a very what I can say, a pillar or a pioneer of this concept, very important concept called as inheritance, which is widely used in the object oriented programming language, which reduces lot of redundancies in the code. Now what is inheritance? Now whenever you are creating some application based on a simple same domain, that time multiple classes will share some attributes that are common. For example, if I'm creating or if you are working, suppose say in Mahindra and Mahindra, so this company builds the tractors. This company, suppose say Mahindra is building some engines, some customized engines for some specific companies. This company is building some car. This company is building jeeps. And suppose say this company is also providing some special types of tanks to the soldiers. So in all these cases, what is common? So this company basically deals with something which is called as a motor vehicle. Now in the motor vehicle, there are some things which are common. What are the common things in a motor vehicle? It is going to have some kind of engine, it is going to have some kind of tires, it is going to have some kind of cubic capacities, it is going to have some kind of accelerating features and so on. So there are some attributes which are going to be common. If it is a car or if it is a jeep, then also it's applicable. If it is a normal Mahindra car, then also it is applicable. If they are creating tractor, then also it is applicable. If they are creating some kind of military vehicle, then also it is applicable. So whatever they are creating, ये सब में कोई चीज common होगा. So suppose say that common thing is cubic capacity, and we can say the color of a vehicle. I mean, these are the common attributes. So we can say the number of seats, or these some other attributes which are common in all those motors. So ये common attributes होता है, but whenever it comes to car, then car has its some specialized features. Whenever it comes to jeep, then jeep has its some specialized features. Whenever it comes to suppose say a tractor, so tractor has some specialized features which are not there in your normal car, or which are not there in your normal jeep. So obviously they are having some features which are common to all, and they are having some exclusive features. So when you want to create such kind of system, तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा, ये CC, color and seats, ये जो attributes है, these are common for all. So unnecessarily you have to repeat them every time for every different class or for every different category of that motor vehicle. Instead of that, what we can do, we can create a class which we can call as a base class. So we can create something called as a base class, which can contain all your common things, such as the common attributes, the common functions. So all car will have something called as it moves, it can accelerate, it can at a given point, whenever you are braking the car, then it stops and so on. These are the very and very common attributes or functions which are available in all categories of car. So all these functions or all this attribute, you can call it as a base attributes or a base functions. Then the functions which are exclusively associated with car can be written inside the car class, or the functions which are exclusively related to the tractor can be written inside the tractor class. The specialized functions which are related to the military vehicles can be written inside that military vehicle class. So all these types of vehicles are actually inheriting some properties from the motor vehicle, and they are having their own some different properties as well. This is basically what we mean by inheritance. So a very and very simple example is, in our house, in our family, we have something done by the great grandfathers, that is inherited to the next generation of our grandfathers, that is inherited to the next generation, that's our parents, that is inherited to us, we can give it to the next generation and so on. So obviously we are not saying that whatever is my parents, that's the only thing, I'm not going to earn anything or I'm not going to add anything. It's never like that. So generally whenever it goes to the next generation, it's basically what you had in the previous generation plus whatever you have in the current generation is passed on to the next generation. That's basically what we mean by the concept of inheritance, which is again a very important kind of thing whenever it comes to object oriented programming. So we are going to discuss about this inheritance. There are a lot of types of inheritance available. For example, simple inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, hybrid inheritance, and so on. So we are going to check all those types of inheritance, but I just hope that the definition of inheritance is clear. Inheritance is basically used in that type of structure where some attributes are common. So we can combine those attributes to create something called as the base class, and the one which are simply exclusive, that can be created in the derived class. So derived class can access all the properties of the base class, and it will have its own property. This is basically what we mean by protected mechanism. So base class में जो कुछ भी होगा वो protected होता है. whatever our parents have, that's protected. It's not for the whole world. It's not for the public. It's only for the next generation. They avail all those resources. You are going to avail all the resources to the your next generation. You are not going to make it public that anyone can come and access my property. It's not like that. So that's basically what we mean by the protected attributes or protected methods. So base class can create this protected attributes and protected methods, which can be only accessed by its child class or its derived class. So derived class can have its own variable, plus it have the access to all those variables which are there with the base class. So derived class is basically a kind of a next generation in the example of the property inheritance that we have seen so far. Then it also allows you to create something called as polymorphism. This is also one of the core concepts of object-oriented programming. So basically, polymorphism is a Greek word which has a meaning, just a second, which has a meaning. Poly indicates many and morphs indicate form. So many forms is basically what we mean by polymorphism. So how polymorphism is used, or basically what is polymorphism? So suppose say I have few variables. Those variables are say radius, side, length, and breadth. So suppose say these are the 4 variables that I have. Now I want to calculate circle area, square area, and rectangle area. So generally what we can do in this situation, we can create 3 different functions. One function can calculate circle area, one function can calculate square area, one function can calculate rectangle area, and we can assign 3 different names to this. But object-oriented programming says that you can have multiple methods with the same name. Or the concept of polymorphism, it's also called as overloading. It's also called as overloading, and overloading and overriding. Both the things come inside the polymorphism. So basically what this overloading or overriding is, so suppose I am creating something called as calculate, and it takes one parameter that is of type integer. Then I'm having calculate that takes one parameter, but this time the parameter is suppose say float. I am having one method that takes with the same name calculate, but it takes 2 arguments. One is suppose say the length and another one is the breadth, or A and B. You can write whatever you want. So in this case, though we are creating 3 methods with the same name, all these 3 methods are having the different tasks to perform. So the first method calculate A, in which it accepts only integer type of parameter, not even a float. So अगर ऐसा कोई constraint लिखा है that the first method is going to only accept integer parameter, the next method is only going to accept the float parameter, the last method is going to accept 2 parameters, then in this case these 3 methods are different from each other. और अगर यहाँ पे confusion हो रहा है, then we can simply shorten this question to suppose say we want to create calculate as a function to calculate area of circle and area of rectangle. इतना छोटा question करते हैं तो थोड़ा समझने में easier होगा. So in that case, what we are trying to say, if you are using calculate function, but if you are passing a single parameter, it will automatically go to the circle area calculation. If you are using calculate function, but if you are passing 2 parameters, it will automatically make a decision to go to the rectangle area calculation. The reason is though the name of method is same, you are passing the different number of parameters. This is basically what we mean by polymorphism. There is another reason why this polymorphism term comes into the object oriented programming. And suppose say you are creating something called as class circle, you are creating the another class rectangle, you are creating another class square, yeah, and all this class are having one method with the same name, calculate. This also has the same name, method calculate, and this also has the method name calculate. Now whenever you call this calculate method, that time there are three calculate methods. So obviously we might think in our mind how Python interpreter will come to know which calculator method to call. And that's the reason Python says that whenever you want to access certain method of a class, you can write class name, give dot, and then call this calculate. Or suppose say you want to access rectangle ka calculate, then you can write that यहाँ पे I should write circle. If I want to find out, or if I want to calculate, or if I want to call that calculate method of rectangle, then I'll say rectangle dot calculate. If I want to call the method calculate for square, then I'll write square dot calculate. So though the name of the method is same, but you are calling it with respect to the different classes, and that's why your Python interpreter can easily make out that this certain method user wants to call from which class or what exactly to be done into that method. Otherwise, it is simply a confusion. In fact, otherwise, if you try to write in a program a same name with the same number of parameter, it will definitely generate an error. So as I said, there are two things in the polymorphism: method overloading and method overriding. This thing is called as method overloading. So method overloading kya hota hai? You have exactly the same function, and it's present inside the multiple classes. Sometimes it happens that though you have the same function, but the requirement of the arguments is different. So if suppose I am writing calculate and passing a single argument, and if I am writing calculate and passing two arguments. So again, when you pass two arguments, your interpreter is intelligent enough to go to that certain method जिसको दो arguments लगते हैं, and when you simply write or simply pass one argument, your interpreter is intelligent enough to go to that method जिसको एक ही argument का requirement. So basically, this is very intelligently handled, not by Python, but by every higher level programming language using the concept of polymorphism. So we will solve the examples based on inheritance, polymorphism, what is abstraction, and so on. So that time those things will get even more clearer because we will implement it in live scenarios. But this is just to make sure that we are understanding the basic concepts of the object oriented program. So I think we have covered all the concepts related to the object oriented programming. So we can start with some of the programs so that we'll come to know actually how it is implemented, or actually how to move ahead with the object oriented concepts. So as we said, if you want to create any class, what is class? So class is something called as non-primitive data type. There are two types of data for every programming language: primitive data and non-primitive data. So primitive data क्या है मेरा primitive data होता है integer, float, complex, then we can say your string and boolean. This is a primitive data for Python programming language. इसका non primitive क्या है? So classes, is an example of or array is an example of non-primitive type of data. Why it is called as non-primitive? Because ये खुद से एक structure ऐसा बना है which uses all the existing primitive structure. अगर मुझे क्लास जनरेट करना है तो क्लास के अंदर मुझे मेथड्स या फिर एट्रीब्यूट्स का रिक्वायरमेंट होता है. ये जो एट्रीब्यूट है, दैट एट्रीब्यूट इज आइदर गोइंग टू बी इंटीजर और इट इज गोइंग टू बी फ्लोट और इट इज गोइंग टू बी कॉम्प्लेक्स और स्ट्रिंग और boolean. That means at the end of the day I am using some primitive type of data in order to create my composite collection. That's why these are called as non-primitive and these are called as primitive types of data. So I just hope this is clear. So how to create a class? We can write this keyword class as it's a keyword. Once we wrote that, automatically changed its color. And suppose I'm writing human over here, then it's a class name. Colon is required because it's an indentation. In other programming language, instead of colon, we specify this curly bracket. But in Python, curly brackets are not encouraged. Instead of that, we generally specify this colon. Now, if you don't want to write anything, then we can simply write this keyword called as pass. This is not only used in classes, but this can be used while creating a simple functions as well. For example, कभी कभी ऐसे होता है कि मेरे दिमाग में एक लॉजिक है and it's a kind of rough logic or a skeleton logic. That means I know that if I want to create a calculator, I need to have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor division or modulus. These are the basic functions to be provided. तो मैं क्या करूंगी? I will create a function to add, function to subtract, function to multiply and so on. But I am gets confused कि इस function के अंदर statements लिखे कैसे जाते हैं. And so I simply want to create a skeleton like this. So let me just write in some different block. I want to create something like this. Def add. I know that it's going to take some two numbers. So I'm writing A and B. But I simply don't know कि इसके अंदर मुझे logic क्या लिखना है. If I write something like this and if I confused what to write the next thing, मतलब इसके अंदर क्या लिखना है वो नहीं पता है, and I am simply running the statement, then it will give you the error unexpected end of file. So I am stuck at this point. इसके आगे जो कोड है वो मुझे पता है, but I just don't know what to write inside this. I know the next code. I know that def sub, this also takes two arguments, and suppose say it returns a minus b. So I am aware about this, but I don't know what to do with this first function. I don't know what to write code in this. Just take hypothetical example दे रही हूँ मैं. So in this case, what you can do is you can simply take the help of this word called as pass. Whenever you write pass, अभी मैं इसको execute कर रही हूँ, though it is not generating any result because मैंने function को call नहीं किया है. Let me call this function sub and I am passing the value 20,10 this time. So as soon as it checks that sub has been called, so it will go to this sub function. 20 and 10 ये values respectively A and B को pass करेगा and A minus B result मुझे sub का मिलता है. In this case, still I have not written logic for add, but it is not giving me an error. अगर मैंने इस pass को remove किया and if I try running this, then it is giving me an error that expected an indented block. That means it's trying to tell you that something is wrong over here. It needs to, you need to add something. That means you need to add something into that function. So if you simply want to create skeletons and you are not aware what to write into those skeletons, you can use this keyword called as pass. As soon as your interpreter looks that ठीक है method create किया है, nothing is written inside that method, but pass is written inside that method, so it is not going to give you an error. It will think that user has created a skeleton, has not passed anything. That means user can pass that values afterwards in future. That's basically what is the use of this pass keyword. Is this clear? What does the pass does? So in any code, in any mechanism in future, जब भी आप code create करते हो, but you are not sure that what to write, अगर ऐसा problem है, तो at least we have that habit of creating the skeletons. तो वो skeleton create करके सिर्फ pass उसके अंदर लिखो, so that whenever you will parse your code, whenever you will interpret your code, so it will not generate any error. Is this clear?
Yeah, this is clear.
Hmm.
So I can call as many times I want, right?
Yes, you can call as many times as you want this particular thing. But यहाँ पे pass इसके लिए लिखा है because कुछ आगे logic ही नहीं था लिखने के लिए. We simply wanted to create a class. That's why we simply wrote the pass. That's it.
ठीक है.
ठीक है? Now let us move ahead again. So now let's create a class जिसके attributes में, or we will create some attributes. So I'm creating this class called as employee. We wrote the class keyword, we wrote the name for that class, suppose that is employee, and we want this certain class to access or to accept two variables or two things. First is name. In this case, I am hard coding the value. Next time we'll take the value from user. And suppose it takes the value for age as well. My numlock is lock. Okay. So this is basically what we mean by class attribute. So ये class create किया, and these are the attributes that we want to have to that class. Like we are creating class car, and the attributes of the car will be its color, it's the number of seats available, the type of doors for that car, and so on. Then whenever we create a class, it has the attributes as well as it has something called as method. So suppose I am creating this method called as info or information, whatever you want to write. I will pass one special thing over here that is nothing but self. What is the meaning of this? Def is nothing but the keyword which is used to define or which is used to create a method. Info is the name of that method. Self indicates that this method is a method of class employee. So it's very mandatory to write this self. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि इसके अंदर जो attributes use किए हैं, all these attributes can be used by this info. That's why it is called as a self. That means it can use all the attributes which are given in the self class, that is in the employee class. That's basically what is the meaning of the statement. So let us try to access the elements of this class employee. So I am writing print name is, and we can simply say self dot name. Whenever you call that attribute or whenever you want to print that attribute, it's compulsory that you have to call the attribute of a class using self, because this name is not inherited by some other class. You're not taking it from some other class. It is the attribute that you are fetching from itself, from the class employee itself. That's the reason it's mandatory that you have to write self. And suppose I want to fetch this, just a second. You can write age is self dot age. So in this way, we have created a class, we have created some attributes, and we have created a method. Now the class will not become a live entity unless and until we are creating object of that class. तो अब तक हमने इसका object create नहीं किया है. What we can do, we can create the object like this. Suppose say emp is the object of class employee. So ये statement क्या करेगा? This will give emp power to access all the things that are mentioned inside this employee class. That means whenever a child is born, that time it gets power to access all the attributes of a human class created by the creator. That's basically what we are trying to say, that when the object is created, that time it gets all the powers to access all the variables as well as the methods of that given class. Now, here we are saying print emp dot name, print emp dot age. Now in this case, if you have noticed, I have created one method to access the properties of the class, but I'm not using that method. Instead of that, I'm directly accessing the elements of the class by using the structure emp.name and emp.age. Let me just run this and tell you that how it looks like. So in this case, program execution कैसे start होता है? So program execution में first program यहाँ से आपका मतलब logically execute या फिर logically देखोगे तो ऐसे इसको हम read करते हैं that it checks, sorry, my object, हाँ, it checks that user has created an object. This object, EMP object, belongs to which class? Employee class. So it will go to the employee class for executing this class. Then it will check user has asked for object dot name. That means user wants to access the name attribute of the class using this EMP object. User wants to access age attribute of the class using this EMP object. This is the meaning of this function. Now, if you don't want to access the direct elements, just give me 1 second. I think by mistakenly there is some issue with my insert key. emp.name. Okay. So what I wanted to say is, let me just comment the statement and the statement. So I am commenting these two statements. So I just do.
Hello. Prachi, you're not audible.
Ankur, don't worry. I guess there's a network problem. She has dropped out. I guess she'll join again. Just wait.
Okay.
Hi, Prachi, are you there? Prachi, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. I think.
I guess you dropped out. You got dropped out.
I got dropped out. Let me just reshare my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, visible now. My screen is visible.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I think Ankur, यहाँ तक, I mean, you listen till this part, na? EMP info tak.
Yeah, EMP info tag, right?
Huh. So what I said that whenever you are calling this info method using this EMP object that you have created, so whenever it will go to this EMP info function, that time it can access again this name and age because you have written the code inside this method to access the name and age of this class employee or of this this class that you have created in the given example. This is basically what we mean by creating object, fetching the function using object, and object has a power that it can directly fetch the attributes of the given class as well, because every object can have the access to the attributes of that class. but ऐसे I mean अभी ये encapsulate हो गया. Now these are the variables which are there only for this certain class. If you are creating new class, then in that new class you cannot access this variable of the previous class. For example, if I am creating a class called as manager to store all the information of a manager, and if I want, let us try to access this name and age from the manager class, then it is not possible because all these attributes and functions are exclusive to the class employee only. This is basically the concept of hiding data, or this is basically the concept of encapsulating the data. But अगर you want something like this, that employee to employee है, I mean, if a person is manager, if a person is CEO, if a person works into simple say payroll department, या फिर if a person works in normal housekeeping department, every person has name, every person has age. ऐसे नहीं होता कि CEO है तो CEO को name नहीं है, या फिर manager है तो manager का कोई age नहीं होता. That means these are some of the attributes. They are going to be common though the person works as a manager, though the person works as a CEO, though the person works as a normal housekeeping in that certain company. So these are some of the common attributes. If you want these attributes to be accessible by all the classes, then you have to go for one concept of object oriented programming called as inheritance. I just hope you understood what is inheritance. So inheritance क्या होगा? तो अगर वो manager है, still that manager will be derived from this employee. So the manager can access to the name, manager can access to the age, and it will have its own properties, such as in which designation or in which certain discipline the person as manager is all about, how many people are working under that manager, to whom the manager has to report, and so on. So all these things will be inside the manager class, which can inherit this employee class. That means which can inherit this name and age, which are the base properties of the employee class. I just hope from this example it's clear how to create a class. What do we mean by class attributes? What do we mean by class function? How to create object of the class, and how to call certain variable or a certain method of the class. These are the just few things that I just wanted to get cleared with. Is this fine?
Okay, I have some questions.
Hmm.
Let's say when we create a class and we have assigned the variables into it, right? Name and age. And now we create a function to it, right? It's a info
Correct.
is a function, correct?
Correct.
So when we create a function, we are we are calling the attributes which we have created in the class,
Perfect.
correct? And when we want to access those attributes, there are two ways. Either we create an object and access the attributes, or through function we can access the values to it, right?
Hmm.
So my question
In
is
both
that
the ways, I mean, if you want to create a function or you want to directly access the variables, in both the ways it is mandatory that you have to create the object. Because जब तक object create नहीं होगा, तब तक वो real life entity नहीं बनता. तब तक it is like a static entity. When you create the
अच्छा,
object, that time वो dynamism में चला जाता है, and then it can access it.
ओके ओके, तो मतलब जब हम ऑब्जेक्ट करेंगे हम उसको क्लास को उसको कॉल कर लेंगे, उस क्लास को कॉल कर
Exactly,
लेंगे.
kind of calling, or you can say instantiating.
ओके, and
So for
then this
example, continue.
okay, so when we directly जैसे emp equal to employee and we are calling it, so इसमें आपने बताया था कि that the inside the class whatever the attributes are there, that will be called directly to it, right? और
Yes,
अगर
because
और
these
अगर
are public for this class.
अच्छा, और अगर मुझे फंक्शन के थ्रू वैल्यूज एक्सेस करनी है, तो देन the object dot info I have to Okay.
बिकॉज ये ऐसे कंपलसरी नहीं है. देखो इन दिस व्हाई वी हैव रिटन दिस फंक्शन, तो ये फंक्शन ही इसके लिए लिखा है सो दैट यू कैन एक्सेस द वैल्यूज, बिकॉज दिस फंक्शन इज नॉट गोइंग और नॉट डूइंग एनी ग्रेट वर्क. ये फंक्शन सिर्फ आपके एट्रीब्यूट्स को फेच करने का ही काम करता है.
हाँ.
So this, in this code it is written in that way that
हाँ.
you know, there are some variables that are declared, and in the function we are accessing the values of those variables. That's why यहाँ पे ऐसे दिख के आ रहा है that you can either access those values using you know, directly object name dot variable name, or you can access them using this function. Every time it is not necessary. What you can do is you can create some different functions जहाँ पे directly आप functionality start कर सकते हो. You can skip this part of display and so on. So that is okay. This is just for understanding purpose that how, in how many ways we can access the elements. So एक तो हम directly access कर सकते हैं. Otherwise you can call those elements or you can call those attributes in the function, and उस function को call करके you can access to those elements. So ये दो तरीके हैं कोई भी क्लास के एट्रीब्यूट्स को फेच करने के लिए या फिर उसके वैल्यूज को एक्सट्रैक्ट करने.
क्या ऐसा
Fine?
भी कोई मेथड है कि फंक्शन के साथ मैं कुछ पैरामीटर्स दे दूं और मेरे को ये
Yes,
प्रिंट का नीचे ना लिखूं तो मैं और उसके बाद डायरेक्ट कॉल कर लूं?
exactly correct. So you are basically moving to the I mean the next thing that we are rightly going to take right away, something called as the constructor. So ये जो मेथड है ना, कोई
हाँ.
भी मेथड होता है पाइथन में, it's
हाँ.
mandatory that every method in Python is parameterized. At least one parameter हर एक मेथड को होता ही है, which is called as a self parameter.
ठीक
That's
है.
the difference in Python and other programming language. Java में, C++ में, C Sharp में, बाकी सारे programs में जब भी हम object oriented करते हैं, you can create void methods. That means the methods that do not work with you know, or that do not require any parameter. But whenever you are working in Python, that too whenever you are working in Python classes, तो class के जो भी methods होते हैं, it is compulsory that it should have at least one parameter, and that at least one fixed parameter is always self, because self gives that method you know, a special kind of power that it can access the elements of that class. अगर ये self नहीं लिखेंगे तो ये function powerless हो जाता है, and then it can't access the attributes. Basically
अच्छा.
function क्या है? Function तभी work करेगा जब भी उसके पास attributes रहेंगे. For example, if you don't have legs, then there is no meaning of walking. हम walk ही नहीं कर पाएंगे. If I'm not
Correct.
having hands, I can't write. So function
Right.
का existence ही नहीं है unless and until you can't access the variables. That's why ये self लिखना यहाँ पे compulsory होता है. And now coming back to something you said as parameterized function. That means you know, instead of writing the print function, can we pass the multiple values over here? या फिर self से ज़्यादा भी कुछ pass कर सकते हैं. तो yes, we can do that. And that's basically what we mean by constructor method. So in every programming language ये एक concept होता है जिसको constructor बोला जाता है. So basically constructor is a method, and ये method का काम ये होता है कि जो भी आपको attributes या फिर parameters के default values या फिर values set करने हैं, you can set that within a constructor. So if you search about C Sharp, C++, Java, हर एक लैंग्वेज में कंस्ट्रक्टर करके एक स्पेशल फंक्शन होता है. स्पेशलिटी ऑफ दैट फंक्शन इज नेम ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्टर इज ऑलवेज सेम एज दैट ऑफ द क्लास नेम. कंस्ट्रक्टर का नेम एंड क्लास का नेम सेम होता है. कंस्ट्रक्टर कोई यू नो, इट्स नॉट एनी रॉकेट साइंस कंसेप्ट. कंस्ट्रक्टर इज बेसिकली मेथड जिसका स्पेशल कैपेसिटी या फिर स्पेशल पावर ये होता है दैट नेम ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्टर एंड नेम ऑफ क्लास इज ऑलवेज सेम. दिस इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू अदर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज. पाइथन में भी कंस्ट्रक्टर का कंसेप्ट है, बट पाइथन का कंस्ट्रक्टर एंड क्लास नेम सेम नहीं होता. इनफैक्ट पाइथन के जब भी कंस्ट्रक्टर्स जनरेट किए जाते हैं, दैट टाइम इट इज ऑलवेज हैविंग अ सेम पैटर्न, समथिंग लाइक दिस इन इट. सॉरी. सो जब भी आप पाइथन ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग के कोड्स देखते हो नेट पे, यूट्यूब पे, कहीं पे भी, दैट टाइम यू विल फाइंड आउट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम दे यूज दिस टाइप ऑफ you know, method. What is this method? इस method को constructor बोला जाता है. This is a special method available inside your classes which helps you to define the values or which helps you to declare the values. Let us just take an example to understand what the constructor is. So I'm creating again the same class with the same name called as employee. Here I'm creating one constructor function. So as we just discussed, constructor function is special function है, तो इसको create करने के लिए भी we need to have some special kind of code. So def is the name of the method because at the end of the day वो constructor method है, and whenever you want to create a method, it's compulsory that we have to write def. Init is a constructor. I mean init is the syntax for creating the constructor method. Apart from init, आप कुछ भी और नहीं लिख सकते. It's mandatory that you should write init over here, and then you can write this self because this method is implemented on this class employee. So obviously whatever this method is generated, or if it is having existence only inside this class. So that's why self is mandatory. If you don't write self, class में कोई भी method generate ही नहीं होता. So you have to always remember writing self is mandatory. 200% you have to write it. Here I can specify name and age. I can write something like this, name and age over here. That means this is a constructor because it is init. Self लिखना compulsory है because you are writing something inside the class. So whatever we write inside the class, it's there in that class ka environment. So it is there in the self environment. It is not public to all. It is not accessible to all. So it is in a closed environment, self environment. So it's mandatory to write self. Name and age, these are the two parameters that we want to pass to this, some constructor. And यहाँ पे हम बोलेंगे that self dot name is equal to name and self dot age is equal to age. I will explain this once I write the complete code. Just give me 1 second. Let me complete the code. I am creating this next method called as introduce. And here I will write print. My name is self dot name. And I'll write my age is self dot age. And here, just give me 1 second, just one more piece of line. emp1 is equal to employee. That means I am creating object. Here, as it's a parameterized type of init that we have created, as you said that you want to pass the values directly to some function instead of writing variable and declaring the value. So here I will say Prachi, 30. And in this case, I'll simply call this function emp1 dot introduce. If we run this, it generates the answer that the name is Prachi and the age is 30. So ये program कैसे work हुआ? We created the class, we assigned the name to the class, we created init, that means we created a constructor. What is the use of constructor? So it constructs your class. How to construct a class? For example, how to construct a human? If you are not providing eyes, legs, arms and everything to the human, obviously वो human ही नहीं बनेगा. So methods तभी work करते हैं जब भी attributes होते हैं. That means whenever you are constructing something, whenever you are creating something, it is important that it should have the variables. That's why इसको constructor बोला जाता है. Because it is giving the power to create the variables. So how to create a constructor in Python? Def, that's a function starting we have to always write by def. Init is nothing but the constructor declaration for Python. Self, because this constructor is associated with the employee class only, it is going to work only for that employee class. Name and age, these are nothing but two attributes that a constructor is going to initialize or the constructor is going to initiate. Then just see over here, when you write employee Prachi and 30, that time basically क्या होता है कि एक constructor invoke होता है. Why the constructor is invoked? Because we have passed the value this Prachi and 30. So obviously it will come to know कि यहाँ पे एक object generate किया है of this class employee, and इसके बाद जब ये values pass किए हैं, that means it's an indication to your Python code. Values user तभी pass करता है जब ये constructor parameterized होता है. So all these things are obviously interlinked to each other. As you see in the previous code, हमने values pass नहीं किए थे. We simply created the empty object like this. तो इसका मतलब ये है that there is no constructor created in this certain program. But whenever you write the name of the object, class name, and when you pass the values, that means it's an indication that you have constructor in your code. So obviously ये जो first value आप insert करोगे, that will go to the first parameter of the constructor. The second value that you have inserted will go to the second parameter of that constructor. And what this constructor is doing? So वो ये जो values है name and age, ये खुद के purpose के लिए या मीन class के purpose के लिए use करेगा, and that's why it's writing self dot name is equal to name passed by you, self dot age is equal to age passed by you. That means this age and this name is accessible within this certain class. It's not accessible outside. That's why it is self purpose. It's only for itself. That's basically what this means. Or you can say this है ये, this dot name is equal to name, this dot age is equal to age. So ये उसका खुद का exclusive property है. That's why it's mandatory to write self. And similarly, next line पे आपने क्या किया है? So next line पे you are calling this function introduce. So when it goes to this introduce function, it comes to know कि यहाँ पे obviously self environment से variable लेने हैं. So name is self dot name. So यही name copy हो, I mean यही name display होगा because you have passed the name Prachi, and the age में age 30 will be passed. Next time if you are creating something like this, emp2 is equal to employee, and suppose I passed some different values, say Ajay, and if I'm passing the value say 21, and if I call emp2 dot introduce, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, so what has happened over here again? अभी यहाँ पे क्या हुआ है? Next time after this introduce function executed, it goes to the next line. Next line पे क्या लिखा है? Again employee लिखा है. That means again you are creating the new object because you have called the class again. यहाँ पे what are the parameters you are passing? Ajay and 21. So again it will come to know parameters class को pass किए हैं या फिर object को pass किए. That means you have to call this parameterized method. So now the value for the name will be updated to Ajay, and the value for age will be updated to 21. So name, that is Ajay, will be given as a self name, current name, and 21 will be given as the current age. So that's the reason जब भी आप EMP2 को use करके you are calling this introduce, that time EMP2 का जो self value है, that is Ajay and 21. That's the reason when you call this, वो Ajay and 21 को call करता है. इसके बाद भी if you are calling emp1 and introduce, that time again it will show you the value related to employee 1, that is Prachi and 30, because you have two separate objects or you have two separate entities created by you. So whenever you will say emp1, वो emp1 के self image को use करता है, and when you say emp2, वो emp2 के self image को use करता है. So emp1 के self image में Prachi and 30 are values for age and name, and emp2 में the values are Ajay and 21. So this is basically the power of object oriented programming, that whenever you create the object and अगर आपको कोई भी function use करना है, then when you say object and the function, it gives you the capability कि आपके जो values है, based on that values your function will be implemented. So I just hope this part is clear, that how to create the constructor for a given method. Next part is clear, how we can create multiple objects and how to call the functions and how to create the parameterized type of object for a given class.
Okay.
Is this
Okay.
clear?
Yeah. So what is like difference between a function and a method?
No, it's the same. I sometimes use the word method, I
Okay.
sometimes use the word function.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
frankly speaking, मतलब अगर बहुत डीप टेक्निकल में जाते हो तो
हाँ.
इट इज जनरली सेड कि फंक्शन थोड़ा सा अलग होता है,
हाँ.
एट्रीब्यूट एंड मेथड आर एग्जैक्टली सेम. एट्रीब्यूट या फिर सॉरी नॉट एट्रीब्यूट, मेथड इज समथिंग व्हिच इज लाइक कॉल्ड लाइक दिस emp1, एंड उसका जो स्पेसिफिक थिंग होता है दैट्स बेसिकली व्हाट वी मीन बाय इट्स मेथड, दैट मीन्स इट्स द मेथड ऑफ एम्प्लॉय1. बट
हाँ.
फंक्शन क्या होगा, फंक्शन इज दिस इज अ फंक्शन. And
हाँ.
method matlab, for example, we say list dot append. So append is the method of list. Append is not available like a generalized function. So it's not generalized. It's only associated with that certain thing. So वो उसका method हो जाता है. ये एकदम deep जाके अगर देखते हैं तो this is a basic difference in between them. But otherwise, on a shallow level, we can say function, procedure, method, all these things can be used interchangeably. It's okay.
Okay. ठीक
Okay,
है.
so let us simply try to complicate the things a bit. अभी यहाँ पे what we will do is
तो हम
we'll try. हाँ,
तो हम फंक्शंस कितने भी बना ले, राइट, एक क्लास के
कितने भी
अंदर.
बना सकते.
ओके.
Yes, n number of functions, n number of variables you can create in a class. But class का फंडा ही है that class is used to create the small entities. So generally हम एक huge सिनेरियो को छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स में स्क्रूटिनाइज करके उस हर एक
हाँ.
छोटे पार्ट के लिए एक एक क्लास लिखते हैं. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज एडवाइजेबल दैट यू शुड नॉट हैव टू मेनी मेथड्स इन अ सिंगल क्लास. अदरवाइज वो अप्रोच उसका मेथड ओरिएंटेड या फिर प्रोसीजर ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग होता है, जैसे कि सी या फिर सी प्लस प्लस नहीं, सी में यूज किया जाता है. सो सी में देर इज नो कंसेप्ट ऑफ क्लास और समथिंग लाइक दैट. वहां पे आपका जितना भी कोड यूज हो, यू सिंपली हैव टू क्रिएट द मेथड्स. बट ये जो प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस है, ये आपको मॉड्यूलरिटी देते हैं या फिर कंपार्टमेंटलाइजेशन देते हैं. एंड दैट्स व्हाई दे से कि मॉड्यूलरेट करो, छोटे छोटे पीसेस में आपके लॉजिक को डिवाइड करो एंड उस पीस के ऊपर एक एक क्लास जनरेट करो. सो दैट्स व्हाई इट्स बेटर टू क्रिएट फ्यूअर मेथड in a single class which are very close to that class.
ओके, गॉट इट.
Okay, so अभी एक छोटा सा डिफरेंस समझ के लेते हैं दैट ये पैरामीटराइज करने से या फिर पैरामीटराइज ना करने से डिफरेंस
अच्छा,
क्या बनता है.
एक
हाँ.
चीज मुझे और पूछनी है.
हाँ.
हमने जैसे एक क्लास में एक ही कंस्ट्रक्टर बना सकते हैं.
Yes,
अच्छा.
compulsory. You can't have multiple constructors.
ओके. ओके.
Not in any programming language. It is not possible to create multiple constructor क्योंकि वो उसका एक what you can say, वो उसका USP है.
ओके.
So, for example, I cannot have two different eye color. I cannot have kind of thing like sometimes I do have 6 fingers, sometimes I do have 5 fingers. It's not like that. That's why
ठीक है.
जब भी एक क्लास का जब भी हम एक बार कंस्ट्रक्ट, बिकॉज बेसिकली कंस्ट्रक्टर का यूज क्या है, एज द नेम सजेस्ट इट कंस्ट्रक्ट्स. तो वो
करेक्ट.
कंस्ट्रक्ट करना मतलब वो इंस्टेंशिएट या फिर वो क्रिएट करता है. तो क्रिएट करने में जो एक ही बार आप क्रिएट कर सकते हो, वंस इट इज क्रिएटेड इट इज डन.
हाँ.
वंस you are, I mean, you are born with the blue eyes, then for a lifetime your identity is your blue eyes. You can't change it. Obviously, अभी के सिनेरियोज में वो नहीं है, बट वो उसका एक एनालॉजिकल एग्जांपल हम कंसिडर कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज यू आर क्रिएटेड, इट्स डन, नाउ इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल टू अपडेट इट. ओके, सो
Okay.
मूविंग अहेड, लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इनिट के अंदर कंस्ट्रक्ट करने से या फिर इनिट के बाहर वेरिएबल नेम लिखने से हाउ डिफरेंस कैन कॉज टू अ certain thing. So I'm writing this class employee one more time. Here I will say let's have location is equal to Mumbai. You can write any name. In this class we'll again define one parameter, one constructor with init, which is self-made for that class, which takes name and age of a person. And yeah, the same thing, self dot name is equal to name. ये जो हम self dot लिख रहे हैं ना, जावा में भी similar type of structure होता है, but जावा में instead of self this keyword का आप use कर सकते हैं, this dot name is equal to name, this dot age is equal to age. In Python it is self.
Okay.
So here we are creating, suppose say emp1 is equal to employee. Again, I'll pass the value, suppose say Prachi and 30. And let's create emp2 is equal to employee, in which we'll pass some different values, say Vishal, and I'm passing the age as 25. If I'm writing print emp1 dot name, print emp1 dot location, print emp1 dot age, and for simplicity I'll simply copy this and paste it over here. Here I'll write emp2 dot name, emp2 dot location, emp2 dot age. If we run this, what happened here? emp1 employee 1 is equal to employee, name has been passed, this has been passed, self name, yeah. So it's case sensitive, by mistakenly मैंने यहाँ पे S capital लिखा था, so that created a trouble anyways. So here we are creating these two objects, one is with some different name, another one is some with different identity. When it checks that you are creating emp1 with this attributes, तो उसके self के values अभी name and age हो जाएंगे for emp1, and for emp2 के लिए जो values है वो अभी आपने self किए हैं Vishal and 25. That means these are going to be its values now, its core values for emp1 and emp2. But location is not kind of a variable, what you can say, which is parameterized. And as it is not a parameterized kind of variable, वो एक constant type का variable हुआ जिसका value आप change नहीं कर सकते. I mean, I cannot say that let's have Mumbai as a location for Prachi and Delhi as a location for Vishal, then it is not possible because you are not passing it as a parameter. So ये value आपका almost static हो जाता है. That's the reason if you are creating a variable and you are hard coding the value of that variable like this, then obviously you can access that variable in for every object, because at the end of the day object is a replica of class. तो class के पास जो कुछ भी है object सबके ऊपर अपना it can claim on everything that class possesses. So obviously your object can claim on location as well, but unfortunately you cannot make this location dynamic. Every time it will fetch the same location. So suppose something you want to create like this, that there is a department and एक department के सारे employees का demographic save करना. Demographic is suppose their age, their gender, their approximate monthly income, and so on. So in that case you can keep the things which are common for all like this. So if they belong to the same department, then obviously यहाँ पे suppose department finance है, तो department is equal to finance आप set कर सकते हो, so that when any object refers to the department, it is going to give you the value as finance only, because it is fixed. It is not dynamic, वो static हो जाएगा. So this is basically what will happen if you are creating a static variable, or this is basically how one can create a static variable that can be accessible to the entire class. But the problem is this variable you cannot make dynamic. I just hope this is clear now, that what's the difference in between passing the attribute inside the init or inside constructor and hard coding the attribute like this. So obviously दोनों का कहीं ना कहीं पे use है, but if you know that उस certain attribute का value vary होता है, then in that case I would suggest never ever go for such kind of structure. You should always go for this parameterized type of structure. but you know that the value is never going to change, the value is always going to remain constant, then you can go for this kind of structure. Fine till this part?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. एक छोटा सा इसके ऊपर प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं. So let us take a bank application because we discussed about it before some time. So what we have to do is we are going to create a very simple application. So we have to create a class, suppose say bank, and इसके अंदर इसका एक attribute होना चाहिए, which is nothing but suppose say एक balance करके attribute होना चाहिए, and we want it to assign a value as 0 because we want user to first deposit the amount. तो फिर वो अमाउंट दिखाएगा एंड देन उसके अंदर से कुछ विड्रॉ करना है एंड देन विड्रॉन अमाउंट दिखाएगा. ऐसे सिंपल प्रोग्राम करना है. देन इन द कंस्ट्रक्टर पार्ट या फिर इन इनिट पार्ट, दिस टाइम वी डोंट वांट कंस्ट्रक्टर टू बी पैरामीटराइज्ड. दैट मींस अभी यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम ये होता है ना, वी हैव टू गिव द वैल्यू, बट आई वांट कि यूजर टू गिव द वैल्यू. यूजर हैज टू गिव द नेम और यूजर हैज टू गिव some values. So that's why init में we are not keeping any parameter, won't keep it as parameter, but we have to make this balance is equal to 0. यहाँ पे होना चाहिए, the one which we have just discussed about, and along with that I will ask user to enter name. These are the things we want in constructor. So वो construct हो जाएंगे values, and then I want the deposit function. Deposit function में क्या होगा, एक amount करके variable होगा. This amount will be, you will take the amount user want to deposit, and what it will do is it will add that amount into your existing balance amount, and जो भी updated amount होगा वो मिलेगा. Then we want something called as a withdraw. In withdraw again we'll ask amount from user. This time we'll check if the balance is greater than the amount entered by user. If the balance is greater than the amount entered by user, then and then only we are allowing that user to withdraw. Else will give an error that you have insufficient balance. And finally, in the last function, we'll create a display function that will simply show the updated balance. So this is a kind of very simple program that we want to create using this concept of class. So let's just try this. As the name suggests, first we have to create a class. So class bank यहाँ पे generate हो चुका है. Now we have to create the constructor. So we'll say that define a constructor. Let me just, yeah. So def init constructor है तो self होना ही चाहिए. Then we are saying that self dot balance is equal to 0. That means create a variable for self that is for the object that we are going to create, and उसका default value 0 हम set कर रहे हैं. Then we are saying that self dot name, this time we are going to ask the value from user. So we'll use input function and we'll ask user to enter your name. Then एक छोटा सा code just to check whether the name entered is hello, and we'll say self name. Whenever you call a certain attribute, make sure आप self के साथ ही उसको call कर रहे हो. If it is the attribute written inside init, either as a parameter or declared inside the init like this. मतलब previously हमने parameterize किया था like this. Now we are not parameterized it, but ये init के अंदर है. It's a part of init, so it always has to come with self. अगर self नहीं है, then it is going to give you an error. ये कुछ चीजें that you always have to remember. We'll create deposit again. ये मेथड क्लास का मेथड है तो सेल्फ होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज वो क्लास का मेथड it doesn't get a meaning of that it's class का method. Then we'll ask the amount can be float, so that's why we are writing float input, enter amount that you want to deposit. अभी हमें बैलेंस अपडेट करना है, so we'll say that self dot balance is equal to self dot balance plus amount. So previously the value of self dot balance was 0, so 0 के अंदर जो भी आपने amount ऐड किया है that will be added, and we'll simply give a message that your amount is self dot amount. और नहीं, यहाँ पे नहीं, self dot, my mistake, it's normal amount because this is not parameter के inside वाला नहीं है, तो इसके लिए यहाँ इसको self लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. This is nothing but a attribute that we have created for this function. So इसका existence और इसका जो लाइफ है that is only for this certain function. इसका लाइफ आपके बाकी के functions में नहीं है. That's the reason it's not coming with the self, because this is a method of deposit function. This is not the, sorry, this is the attribute of the deposit function. This is not the attribute of this bank class. I just hope you are getting self कहाँ पे use करना है, self कहाँ पे use नहीं करना. Then def withdraw. यहाँ पे भी obviously it's the method of class, so it's mandatory to write self. Amount is equal to, we are keeping the same variable name because this variable का existence or life is only for this certain function. इसका जो life है वो इस function में. So just don't worry that same name can create any issues. It will not create any issues. Float input, how much amount you want to withdraw. And again, here we cannot directly subtract because we have to check one condition. So if self dot balance is greater than or equal to amount that you want to withdraw, then in that case, self dot balance is equal to self dot balance minus amount. That means if the amount entered by user is less than the self balance, because यही लिखा है, सिर्फ उल्टा लिखा है, that is if the balance is greater than the amount entered by user, then you are allowing user to withdraw, and you can simply print your new amount is, here we'll say that amount. Okay. Finally, we will say def display. And
उसमें सेल्फ नहीं आएगा डिस्प्ले में.
हाँ, thank you. You are absolutely correct. So display your net balances. यहाँ पे we'll say self dot balance. And finally, we have to call all these functions by creating the object. So we can say bank1 is equal to bank, and then bank1 dot deposit bank1 dot withdraw and bank1 dot display. What happened here? Just a second, let me just rerun. So it's asking for the amount. Then, yeah, first it is asking for the name, then the amount that you want to deposit. Then from that, it's asking you how much amount you want to withdraw, and then subtract OK. Whatever answer that you are getting, that amount is displayed as a net balance over here. I just hope this part is clear.
Yeah, one question is there. Let's say in deposit, we had this. Okay.
One second. यहाँ पे instead of amount, I should have displayed this 5,000. So it's saying the amount is 5,000. How much I want to withdraw? 2,000. Yeah. Net amount is 5,000 minus 2,000, 3,000. That's nothing but my net balance 3,000. Yes, now it is correct. I wrote previously amount over there. So वो logically incorrect जा रहा था because we wrote new amount is, so that should be original minus the subtracted amount. That should be the new amount. Yeah, you were asking something. Sorry.
My question was कि override concept का जैसे deposit में भी हमारा amount करके एक variable है, right? And withdraw में भी amount करके variable है. तो जब हम self dot balance, which is like a constructor, right? So that we can call in any function, right?
Exactly. Yes.
But
तो ये था मुझे समझा what you want to ask. You are confused in the polymorphism, मतलब overload. अभी यहाँ पे amount overload नहीं हो रहा है. The reason is overloading ये दो ही चीजों का किया जाता है. You can either overload a method or you can overload operator. For example, plus या फिर minus, ये जो operator है, I'm just going out of the scope. इसके दो uses होते हैं. This is used as a unary minus and as a binary minus. Unary minus क्या करता है? So for example, minus 50, जो भी number आप provide करते हो, it simply gives you negative of that. I mean 50 दिया तो minus 50, 200 दिया तो minus 200. And binary minus क्या करता है? तो binary minus requires two arguments. That is 20 minus 30 or 2 minus 3 and so on. That's the reason when in the programming or whenever in the code, you simply write minus 30. That time ये minus अलग तरीके से treat किया जाता है. It is treated, I mean, when you pass a single operand after minus, it is treated as you want to create a negative number. But when you use this minus in between two values, that time it is considered that you want to subtract it. This is basically called as operator overloading, जो inbuilt होता है in your coding or in your all the softwares. वैसे ही something happens with the function overloading. So function overloading या फिर method overloading में you have two methods with exactly same name. But whenever we talk about the variables, तो variables कभी overload नहीं होते. The reason is variable is always associated with something called as scope or life of that variable. So scope या फिर life of the variable क्या होता है? When I am creating this variable inside the deposit function, so यहाँ पे self लिखा है, इसका मतलब ये है that your deposit can access to everything which is there in self. That means your deposit can access all these things.
Correct.
But ये जो amount है, ये deposit का exclusive variable है. This cannot be accessed by anyone else. ये डिपॉजिट को ही एक्सेस हो सकता है. So this is a private variable of this deposit, or you can say this is a not a private is not a correct word. You can say this is a local variable of this deposit function. So जैसे ही आप इस फंक्शन के बाहर आते हो, मतलब ये इंडेंटेशन चेंज हो गया, तो अभी ये
हाँ
अमाउंट का एग्जिस्टेंस खत्म हो गया.
अच्छा
Now
ठीक
it
है.
is dead. Next time whenever you are creating this amount, this is a kind of fresh local variable created inside this withdraw. अगर किसी ने यहाँ पे अमाउंट इज इक्वल टू इसके नीचे लिख दिया ऐसे, अमाउंट इज इक्वल टू 10,000, तो क्या होगा कि ये कोड से वैल्यू लेगा एंड उस वैल्यू को ओवरराइड करेगा 10,000 से. बिकॉज आफ्टर टेकिंग एनी वैल्यू यू आर रीराइटिंग दैट वैल्यू एंड यू आर सेइंग कि मुझे वहां पे वैल्यू 10,000 ही चाहिए. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज ओवरराइटिंग अ वैल्यू और ओवरराइटिंग अ वेरिएबल. बट ये वो कंसेप्ट नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज फॉर इट टू बिकम अ कंसेप्ट इट शुड हैव बीन either a method or it at least have to be a operator. And ये जो है ये स्कोप की बात हो रही है. इनफैक्ट जब भी आप कोई वेरिएबल यहाँ पे जनरेट करते हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल लोकेशन इज इक्वल टू मुंबई,
हाँ
तो ये क्लास का वेरिएबल हो गया. नाउ दिस इज अ वेरिएबल विच इज हैविंग अ स्कोप फॉर ऑल दिस फंक्शंस, बिकॉज ये तीनों फंक्शंस के बाहर एंड क्लास के अंदर है. सो दिस कैन बी एक्सेसिबल बाय योर डिपॉजिट, विदड्रॉ, डिस्प्ले, सब उसको एक्सेस कर सकते हो. सो इसका स्कोप ये तीनों के लिए एक्सेसिबल है. बट व्हेन यू आर क्रिएटिंग अ वेरिएबल ओवर हियर, तो ये यहाँ पे किल हो जाता है. जैसे ही इंडेंटेशन चेंज हो गया, वेरिएबल किल हो गया. गॉट इट?
got it.
ओके, देन we will create one last question and then we'll stop for the day. Or I'll give you the question and I want you to think about that question. Just think and get the answer in the next session. So हमें क्या करना है? We want to create a small application for generating electricity bill. So in this case हमें क्या करना है? We want a constructor that can take 3 values, because वो हर एक new object के लिए अलग अलग चाहिए. That is name, billing ID and उसके units जो उसने यूज किए हैं. ये 3 values हमें यूजर से चाहिए
हाँ
and input होने चाहिए, not hard coded. Then we will create some function called as set data, and in this set data function we will simply display all values entered by user. That means सारे print statement रहेंगे. Your name is self sorry, self dot names. Your ID is self dot bill ID. Units used are self dot units, and यहाँ पे you are going to give some rules to the user. The rules are base price हर bill का 250 होगा. That means if you are using electricity, not using electricity, still you have to pay 250. If units are less than 100, so per unit you have to charge 1.5 INR. If units are greater than 100, यहाँ पे less than equal to करते हैं. But greater than 100, and if the units are less than 200, less than equal to 200, then you have to charge per unit 2.5 rupees. If units are greater than 200 and units are less than equal to 300, then the cost is per unit 4 rupees or 4 INR. Otherwise, cost is 5 rupees per unit. So this you have to just show to the user. इसको सिर्फ show करना है set data में. Then you have to create one more function called as calculate. Calculate में you are going to use the logic. आपका if else का logic implement करना है. And finally what you can do is you can in the same function, or you can create display का अलग से function, whatever your choices. At display final will amount to use. Simple question. So you just have to take values in a constructor using input function. Then जो भी data है उसको एक बार display करो user को,
ठीक
just
है.
in order to check that whether user has entered correct things or not.
हाँ.
And then based on whatever value of unit is been entered by the user, calculate what should be the price. Assuming base price is 250, that we have to add in whatever amount has been generated, and finally we have to display the amount. ठीक है?
ठीक है.
So just try doing this, and next time we will evaluate this code. So that's
Sure.
it. ठीक है? Yeah.
ठीक है.
So
So अभी
we are
प्राची
done.
हम
हाँ.
So अभी प्राची हम like अभी हमारी जो classes चल रही हैं, it's more like programming kind of thing, right? Okay, okay.
Yes.
So
हाँ,
how many
because
more classes for programming do you think?
it's actually इसके बाद जो कुछ भी जितने भी classes है, I think there are some 24 modules if I'm not wrong, and all the modules are programming based.
ठीक है. So there are total 24. Okay, okay.
हाँ, and it I mean इसको programming में करेंगे तो ही समझेंगे, because just you can also imagine कि first half an hour में मैंने जो भी theory बोला था, वो theory अगर I mean ये नहीं करेंगे तो it's very difficult to understand what is
Difficult to
class, what is
understand.
object.
Exactly.
Now you can relate कि what was that human class, what was those attributes, what was those functions, because now you know the basic कि हाँ ये class ये object ऐसे दिखता है.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. So see ya Friday. Till the time, just keep practicing and just try to solve this question. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, Prachi. Ankur, I'll send you the recording of this session. Maybe you'll be able to find it on the YouTube channel. I have already shared the link, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
You can access that link. All the recordings you can see. And I'll reiterate again. Please don't share it with anybody else. And this today's session you will be able to see by tomorrow.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thanks, Prachi. Thanks, Ankur. See you on Friday.
Yeah. Same here. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Have a good night. Bye.